Hey, how's it going? This is I got my brother Phil with me. This is Arnell. We appreciate you guys for joining us for episode 11 of the Falling Forward podcast, Track the Negative. So this week we're going to talk about tracking the negative things in our life. So what does that mean? So that means gathering data from circumstances, our current mindset, and our current actions or lack thereof to analyze while we keep getting the current results that we're getting in our lives today. So just to kick things off, in 2015, I went to a high level real estate mastermind, and they had a lot of great things that were talked about and said. But the one thing that stuck with me the most was said by the guy who actually put the event on. He said, I can help you grow, but you got to bring me data, not drama. And that always stuck with me. So I like to bring my brother Phil in here and just get some, some of his thoughts on what number one, and two, what are some pros and cons of tracking the negative things in your life?
Um, what was that number one again?
Yeah, so just what does it mean to track the data, not the drama? When you're
So,
talking to,
tracking the data, you're able to analyze and you're able to see the pros and cons of what you're doing and how you need to evaluate and make adjustments. Um, on the other side, the drama, they just excuses and stuff. When life take place, we have a lot of reasons or things that we can say that interfere with us reaching the end goal and stuff. So it's important to show what you actually have done to work towards your end goal and, not make excuses and stuff. So, the pros of it, you be able to evaluate yourself and analyze it and make adjustments. The cons of it is not doing so. Um, you can't really tell where you're at and you can't evaluate yourself. And when we just think about things, we can't capture all our thoughts and what we did and didn't do. So it's important to, jot that stuff down so you will have some hard, cold facts.
that's good. That's good right there, man. Tracking your facts and tracking the data, because a lot of times our minds will misconstrue what we actually did. And I don't know about you, but for me, it sounds a lot better in my head than what actually happened. So if you
Right.
actually sit there and track that stuff, man, just like you said, it's the data is the facts and the drama is just the emotions. And a lot of times it's hard to differentiate, man. And again, our minds try to protect our ego and things of that nature. And so what we're gonna do is rationalize the drama and make it sound like data. You
Right,
know what I'm
right.
saying? And just to add to one of the cons, I agree with the pro and I agree with the con you mentioned, but just to add another con is if you don't have that confrontation with yourself, you can never grow.
Big facts, big facts. So, just in that same realm of thing, why do you think people refrain from capturing the bad things that aren't so successful?
Man, I'll be honest, man, it's hard. It's just hard to sit there and say, hey, you're whining about where you want to be in life because of you. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to look in the mirror, man. The great philosopher Michael Jackson said, man in the mirror. I know you brought that up a couple of times, man. You gotta look at the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. And a lot of times, especially depending on where you are, in your mental health, emotional health, and all that stuff, man, it's hard to really turn that finger from everybody else and turn it around and point at yourself. And really just comes down to the ability to, I won't say lack of ability to self-assess because everybody can. It's just the want and need to.
Right. I agree, man. It is hard, and with that being said, it also hurts to be real with yourself this time, but it actually helps you to grow because we all know that you can't really grow without going through the growing pains and stuff. So
Mhm.
uh it exposes gaps and it shows that you have work to do. Uh I actually think this actually when you have a real kind of Jesus moment, it actually conflicts with your success to create, some type of self-doubt. But you gotta use that, internalize that as a positive uh, asset to yourself. So it actually works with you instead of against you. Uh,
Mhm.
it'll displace your habits. that you need to stop, and the distraction that you have there are preventing your success. I know previously we kind of talked about working out and stuff. So for me, um, I started tracking the time that I was spending on TV and social media to see how much time I can give back to myself and be productive in my life. I found out that I wasn't as productive for probably about 3 hours daily because I was wasting time on something that I wanted to do instead of what I needed to do. So, that tracking actually helped.
Man, great points, man. I was talking to a guy that, I'm pouring into a little bit in the overages, and I asked him, he was telling me he was scarce on time. So I said, hey, I want you to do this. I want you to tell me how much time you spending outside of church, outside of family, and outside of work. And he said, that's easy. And he gave me, he gave me what it was. He kick his feet up and watch TV. And so when you track stuff like that, you automatically you're able to pinpoint. So it kind of gives you a roadmap to what you need to fix. If you ain't tracking it, it's hard. You're just everywhere. It's almost like shooting a shotgun with buckshots. But if you tracking, it's almost you become a sniper. Once you start tracking the data and the drama, you become a sniper, and you know what areas you need to adjust at. So let me ask you this, Phil. Can somebody be successful, man, if they don't track the negative? So if all you track is positives, if all you track are your wins, are you going to be able to grow as much as, God has blessed us with the ability to grow? Obviously you're going to still be able to do some things without tracking the negative, but do you feel personally that you're going to be able to reach your full potential if you ain't tracking the negative things?
Like you said, I feel like there you would see some success, but you won't be as efficient and as effective as you can be and that God wants you to be if you're not tracking it. Because when you're not tracking the negative, you can identify what you need to work on, and you're not being able to become better. And you won't look into resources and things that you need to do to enhance something that you need work on. So, in all actuality, you're doing yourself a disservice by not tracking it and not being able to capitalize off that to make yourself better.
Man, that's a great answer. Do yourself a disservice. Yeah, and it's like you're skewing the data too. You're almost convincing yourself that everything you're doing is good, man. I think, in my personal opinion, I think the only growth that you get really comes from the failures. Because
Right.
I mean, you can learn a few things from your successes and stuff, man. But you learn how to become a better person, a better dad, a better partner, a better business person, a better person of God, man. Just from the struggles and the failures that you've had. That's how you grow. And so I think it's paramount, man. When going back to working out, you don't hop on the scale when you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing because your physique look right. Your eating been on point. So you need to really hop on the scale when you ain't doing the things you're supposed to be doing. So you had that self-confrontation and you say, you know what, I'm messed up right now and I need to go ahead and adjust what I'm doing. I need to adjust fire and get back on track. So it's almost like a reset mechanism, man, tracking that data. And you know what I'm saying, man, I'm messing up right now.
Right. I also say like not tracking the negative, man, you get a little complacent and you're not able to identify things ahead of time that may hurt you in the future. So
Mm,
when you track the negative and stuff, you can be ahead of that instead of behind the curve. So it's definitely a benefit.
I
So
like that.
with that being said, how has tracking the bad stuff been an accomplishment for you?
For me, it's been again, man, it's been the great equalizer for me, man. I know when I'm doing stuff right. I know when I'm on my game, but for me, it's really helped me close gaps in my life. And when you track data, it's not for business. It's not just for business. It's not just for working out. Like it applies to every aspect of life, man. So I got a daily scorecard that I use for like business things and then for personal, whether it be praying or meditating and tracking that negative, man, looking at those daily metrics. I'm like, man, I'm only praying this much. I'm only meditating this much. I'm only looking at my goals this much throughout the day. And then I look at the results for the day, and I can directly tie that back to my actions and my decisions from tracking that negative. And so what it's helping me doing is close those blind spots. Well, maybe not even close them, because that takes a while. It's helping me recognize the gaps and the blind spots that I have in my life, man, and maybe some of the habits that I need to improve on.
Okay, that sounds good, man. You know, I think for me as a whole, kind of using shooting as a example, like you said, like a shotgun, the bird shot's gonna go everywhere and stuff. It helped me kind of like close that shooting range, that gap, that grouping and stuff, so I can fine line and hone in to my target. For me, it's like an advantage. It allowed me to visually see my progression, identify reoccurring setbacks. And the setbacks are a big thing, like the habits, the setbacks, and the distractions. I wouldn't have noticed those things if I didn't notate it and stuff. A lot of
Mm.
times, you might have a down day, you don't know what's going on. But like me journaling, I can see like bad habits. And a lot of times, we want to point blame at everything else, but it's actually was me trying to watch TV, trying to do this, trying to do that, thinking I have enough time, and so much time in my day has been wasted because I'm doing all these other things that wasn't as productive. So it really has been a advantage by me just tracking it and being able to see it on paper.
Mm. Yeah, I like that, man. You said something good. That direct feedback. So you get instant feedback when you shooting. So if your trigger squeeze is too hard, you breathing wrong, you get instant feedback. You're like, okay, boom, I'm off here. And just like with tracking, if you track it, man, you get instant feedback. So I like that. And I think that gives you a better opportunity instead of tracking 2, 3 weeks after the fact, where you really can't remember what the true facts were. It's hard to course correct after that point. So that's good, man. All right. So, we talked about tracking, pros and cons of tracking data, not drama. We talked about the negative and positive things of it, but let's always try to be practical, man, when we on the podcast. And what are some practical things that people can start doing, man? Some actions they can take or mindsets they can adopt to start tracking these negative behaviors, negative actions or mindsets that they have right now.
Um, so for the viewers, your life as a whole, I would say create yourself a to-do list within certain times and see do you reach those small milestones in your life and stuff. And life takes its course. Sometimes we don't meet those goals, but sometimes just push it, to the next day to see if you can accomplish and stuff. I also say journal. Uh, I've identified a lot of things within my life by just journaling and going back to see how my day went, whether it was good or bad and stuff. With the good things, just continue to have those reoccurring things. The things that are not so good, see what you can do to improve and make notes and just execute.
That's good, man. Those are good tangible steps. And just to add on to that, man, I mentioned the scorecard. I don't know if you like spreadsheets, just put something down on the spreadsheet. Journaling is great. Man, also just, you can tell an accountability partner. I say, hey, this is what my plans are for the week or for the day. If you don't like writing stuff down. But yeah, I really do like the to-do list, man. I do that nightly. So every night, what I'll do is do my to-do list for the next day. So I'm not waking up being controlled by I'm just too large. So I say with somebody just starting off, do your top 3 things for the day. Don't make it too deep. Just get in the habit of doing a to-do list. And I think that'll pay dividends, man. So that's great advice.
Cool. Uh, so last thing. So I know some people would view tracking the negative as like a bad thing. So I would ask you, like, how do a person counter tracking the negative and not let it really impact them and, you know, self-doubt, start sitting in?
So in other words, how does somebody just really track the things that they're doing wrong and not let that impact them negatively, not let that just get them down?
Right.
I think you got to really take a hard look at where you at in your life and then your actions and your behaviors and say, hey, do I want to keep getting this result? And if you're tracking a negative already and you're still getting bad results, then you may have to get a little more granular and see what's going on. But if you're not tracking these daily things that are negative, I'd say give it a solid week or two to see if it'll change your mindset, see if it'll start changing some of your behaviors. Because the whole reason you're tracking a negative, if most people don't know, is to bring awareness to something. So you need to become aware before you could change anything. And so if you start tracking how much you complaining in your journal or in your daily scorecard, you start tracking how much TV you've been watching or how much social media you've been watching. Once you become aware of it, now you can start taking action toward it. So, anytime you change your habits, you're going to have a negative feeling and a negative connotation to that particular thing, almost like going on a fast. So just get through those first 3 days and do it for at least a week. Just give it a week. And then I think that awareness will make you become more accepting to tracking some of these negative behaviors so you can become better.
That's great, man. I just say, kind of like what you said, you just gotta do a self-assessment and evaluate yourself, and just realize those are things that you need to work on. That's not actually who you are. So attack the negative and don't let the negative attack you. Don't let it
Mm,
get you down and stuff. It's just a place that you need to improve in and get better in. That doesn't mean that you haven't made progress, but there's work to do. So, what are some key takeaways that you have for the people?
okay, cool. Yeah, so my first one is differentiate data from drama, actual data from emotional drama. So, what does that mean? So speak on the facts that are data driven rather than emotional. So we'll go to the business spectrum. I hadn't gotten any contracts this month. Okay, how many calls have you made? Well, I made a lot. Okay, what's a lot? Versus, man, I hadn't got a single contract this month, but I made 120 calls. I sent out 15 text messages, 20 emails. Okay, now we got some data. That's a differentiation. So just be able to identify data from drama. The second thing is don't run away from self-confrontation. Address it and watch how much you're going to grow in a short time period. So be willing to call yourself out. And thirdly, man, just do the work. Make yourself aware of some of the bad habits that you have. And then I think once you're aware, like we mentioned just a minute ago, I think you put yourself in a position to make them better, make your situation
Wow.
better.
Those some great takeaways, man. It's hard to come from behind that. Uh, I'll just say, like we already spoke about, don't just highlight the good without accepting, addressing, and executing the bad. You gotta find a plan of attack. Kind of like what Arnell said. So when what we're talking about is data, you know, you need to put some numbers behind it, like what you actually did, how many times you did it, you know, what angle that you took to, get there and stuff. All of this data is going to help you to analyze your process to reach your goals and stuff. Um, and, don't view the bad as a failure, but an opportunity to improve. The last thing I'll say, habits and distraction often interfere with accomplishing the end goal. So find a way to try to remove them and decrease them.
That's good right there. That's good. Well, we've given you guys some ideas of what data is, what drama is. We've given you some practical things that you could take away from the podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And start tracking the hard stuff. It's easy to do the easy things, but champions do the hard stuff. So, this is your boy Arnell. I got my brother Phil, episode 11 of the Falling Forward podcast. I would appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.